Well, Ulysses, the hits and the awards keep coming for one Yandy Diaz.
Yes, and was one Rays player snubbed for a Silver Slugger? Let's talk about it right now.
You are Locked On Rays, your daily Tampa Bay Rays podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, my name is Kevin Weiss.
I'm Ulises Sambrano.
And we are the host of the Locked On Rays podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Thank you for making us your very first listen every day. Be sure to check out and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Locked On Rays, as well as the traditional podcasting platforms anywhere and everywhere. We are also accepting mailbag questions, lockedonrays@gmail.com to do that. All right. Award season is fully upon us, and Yandy Diaz keeps taking home the hardware as he wins Silver Slugger this year shortly after becoming the first Rays player to win a batting title. He captured the franchise's first Silver Slugger award since 2010. So 12, 13 years since the last time a Rays player got that designation. And what else to say but very, very, very well deserved for Mr. Yandy Diaz. It's been quite a season, quite a banner season for Yandy at 32 years old. He's got the guaranteed contract. He's got a newborn child. He's moving exclusively to first base. He'd never hit more than 14 homers in a season, and wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. He's showcasing power, and of course, just what he did from basically game one to the final game of 2023 was outstanding, amazing, consistent, and electric.
Yeah, no, everything that you said times 20. I mean, I completely agree with all of that, man. He was the guy that never slumped.
No.
Even when the guys were doing horrible in July and doing we were watching awful baseball, he wasn't part of that. He still kept raking. It was really an amazing season to watch from beginning to end. And I know that a lot of people, we've had this discussion before on BJ Upton and numbers retired. I know there's recency bias here, but Yandy Diaz is making himself the best number two. I mean, he is really doing as much as he possibly can to make that conversation a hot topic among Rays fans, and that's really cool. That's a good thing when you're having good players come up and etch their name on the record books for the team. I mean, you mentioned it. Not only 2023 is going to be a banner year for him, a career year, but also just for him as a human being
right.
as well. Also getting the All-Star nomination, getting the starting gig, arriving there like a few hours before the game because of the whole pregnancy and the baby coming, and he gets there, boom, first at bat, and jacks a home run. So if you want to add another home run to his tally in 2023, you might as well do so, because he did do that in Seattle. So really great for him. And 2010, it just makes you think, hey, maybe there are a few players that might have been snubbed wearing a Rays uniform that could have gotten a Silver Slugger.
Yeah, and there might be one on this current iteration too. By the way, talking about previous Rays Silver Sluggers, do you know who that guy was in 2010 that won it for Tampa Bay?
I have two names. It's either Carlos Pena or Carl Crawford.
Carl Crawford is the man, and then in 2009, Evan Longoria won it, and then 2007, Carlos Pena. So it's been some years. It's been basically a generation since the Rays have had a Silver Slugger winner there. And talk about consistency for Yandy Diaz. He batted 300 or better in every month of the season, and his .330 batting average was a franchise best. He was one of only 6 players to post a slash line of at least 300, 400, 500. His .410 on-base percentage tied for the highest among first basemen. And, of course, for the Silver Slugger, he outlasted Tristan Casas, Nate Lowe, and Spencer Torkelson for that honor.
Yeah, no, tremendous. And now you just made me do a little bit of unfortunate math in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
There are sophomores, maybe juniors in high school that have only heard of '08, never even saw it.
Yeah. It's
That's
just a YouTube highlight for them.
that's disgusting and make me feel old very, very quickly in the day.
Who's BJ Upton? Who's Carl Crawford? Who's James Shields? Who's Scott Kazmir?
Yeah, dad was Edwin Jackson, the best race starter. Well, son, let me tell you something.
He definitely has played for the most teams out of that group. I think he's played for like 15 teams over the course of his career, something like that.
What happened to Andy Sonnenstein, Dad? Did he make it? Was he a Cy Young Award winner? Well, let me tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, good for Yandy Diaz, of course. And AL MVP voting is on the come up, although something tells me that's Shohei Ohtani's award to lose. And other finalists include Corey Seager and Marcus Semien in that respect. And really hope it'd be nice if Yandy Diaz won a second Silver Slugger. He certainly has the upward swing and the potential to do that. Doesn't seem like in his early 30s that he's slowing down anytime soon. Just seems like he's getting stronger and stronger and stronger, assuming he's able to stay on the field for
In the
135
competition
games.
too. In the competition, right? I mean,
Yeah.
like if Anthony Rizzo is, going down, if Vladito isn't really what we all thought he was, maybe
Yeah.
Yandy can become that guy that takes a back-to-back Silver Slugger. I mean, that would be fantastic. But really, I think it depends on the competition. I think Yandy has shown, although 2023 was his career year, he has shown he can hit, that he can be a productive guy. That once you added slugging to Yandy's game,
Right.
yeah, this is about what you are going to receive. You're going to be a Silver Slugger type of guy.
Yeah. No, his approach, whether the home runs are there or not, that has lasting power.
Mhm.
That if he's able to, which I don't see why he wouldn't be able to continue that trend of strike zone discipline and knowing which pitches to hit, which ones to lay off of, whether it's a home run or a single the other way or a single up the middle or a double down the line. That has some staying power for sure. I mean, I would not be surprised, not saying these numbers would be replicated, but that he is a reliable hitter a la Michael Brantley into his mid to late 30s, whether it's with the Rays or another organization. But he's a guy that I could see him and find him on an MLB roster for a while to come.
Yeah, and it might be station to station as he gets older.
Yeah,
and he can hit, but that's the best quality to have. If you can hit, you're going to have a job. That's the most difficult thing to do in sports.
We have more to discuss besides Yandy Diaz. There was another finalist for the Rays, actually two finalists for the Rays that did not come up with the award, but one may have lost out somewhat surprisingly in our viewpoint. We'll get to that, but first, Ulises, we have to tell the audience about something really important.
Yes, we do. And that is that whether you're on extended travel or you're bracing for a major weather event, which here in Tampa, we do that quite a lot, or maybe you're limited by yet another supply shortage, you are covered. Thanks to our partners at Jase Medical, life-saving antibiotics and a long list of daily medications can be ordered in a 1-year supply, even ED generics for Cialis and Viagra as well. So you can go online right now at jasemedical.com to receive your 12-month supply on daily medication. Remember to use promo code LOCKEDON at checkout for a discount as well. If you or someone you love would get some peace of mind by having a year supply of any daily medication that will be reviewed by a doctor on staff, go to jasemedical.com to see if it's offered for you. Remember to use promo code LOCKEDON, that's LOCKEDON, for $20 off your purchase. Again, go to Jase Medical, that's JASE medical.com.
All right. Also up for a Silver Slugger award was Isaac Paredes and Randy Arozarena, although we pretty much knew that Randy wasn't going to get anything with the competition that was afoot. And of course, we learned that. Kyle Tucker getting a Silver Slugger, Julio Rodriguez getting a Silver Slugger, Luis Robert getting a Silver Slugger at the outfield spot. But the utility position, the newly added utility role for Silver Slugger representation, I thought was well within grasp for Isaac Paredes, but it turns out that Gunnar Henderson won the thing, despite Isaac Paredes having a 131 OPS plus and Henderson a 125 OPS plus. Ulises, was Isaac Paredes snubbed, or was it a matter of the voting populace, i.e. managers and coaches, saying, you know what, man, Paredes was solid for sure, but Gunnar Henderson, what he did in playing more games, putting out more doubles, 9 triples, that does not get talked about enough. The fact that Gunnar Henderson had nine triples, and a tick of a better higher slugging percentage, and the fact that he played half his games at shortstop, and he really came on strong post All-Star break. He really came out and had a showing there. And I'm just going to read verbatim the definition of Silver Slugger. It is the selections are based on a combination of offensive statistics, including batting average, on base percentage, and slugging percentage, as well as the coaches and managers' general impressions of a player's overall offensive value. So I thought Paredes had it in the bag with the home runs and the RBIs, but that was not the case.
Just like with the integrity clause in the Hall of Fame, that takes a value of its own, and it has like just this impeachable power, it seems like. I think that last bit that you read about Silver Slugger factors that make up a winner, that last one about the impressions, that's huge, because when you do the comparison, we put this up on our X feed, formerly known as Twitter. You see the games. Yeah, okay. So 7 more games Gunnar played than Isaac, but averages very comparable. Isaac, the on base, basically laps him by 25 points. Slugging about the same. 3 more home runs on Isaac's side. About 30 more points in OPS. Isaac walks more. Isaac strikes out way less than Gunnar. 14 points more in WRC plus, 0.3 less F4 for Isaac, but it's very comparable. But you have to edge towards Isaac's numbers there. But I think just like the integrity clause I was talking about, the impression, like this is a rookie. This is a guy that could potentially be a face of a franchise, and
if he wasn't on the Orioles and Adley Rutschman and maybe some other names had that moniker, he would be right up there. I mean, according to Baseball Reference, he was a 6.2 WAR player, and I'm glad you put that stat sheet up, because that's something that I think we maybe overlooked when we initially had these discussions, was the extra base hits beyond the home runs. That makes a difference as well.
You talked about triples. He was the guy in that ill-fated, possibly division-changing game at Tropicana Field, where Gunnar hits a ball to left field. Randy doesn't give it his all to get the ball, and then once he gets the ball, he kind of like loops it back. Taylor Walls gets it. He's not even self-aware that Gunnar is that was Gunnar Henderson. So one of the triples that you're talking about should have an asterisk on Ray's defense. Ray's defense gave him that triple. So look, if you're in the Rays coaching staff and you see a guy do that to your team, that's pretty impressive. Yeah. And he's a rookie. So that overall impression of what Gunnar did in that particular play, that just tells you so much about who he is as a player. He hustles. He is aware of the game. Baseball IQ is right up there. He is a risky but safe risk kind of guy. That's all of the things that you would love to have as a formula to create a player, and he has that, man.
Yeah. And I think the other thing too, working for him, as I mentioned, he played half his games at third, half his games at short. When you're basically able to say that, yeah, you can play a lot of games at short. You're essentially a shortstop, and you're putting up those types of numbers in comparison to a third baseman or a first baseman. That makes a whole heck of a lot of a difference in the eyes of the voters and the overall value. So again, congrats to him. Something tells me that Gunnar Henderson's probably going to win a couple more of these before his career is over. Heck, the Orioles might have a lot more coming their way over the next several seasons. But yeah, I would just like to see what the final tally and the final vote was on the Silver Slugger, which I don't know if that's publicly available, if that's public knowledge.
I don't think so because of that little clause you said about impressions. Like, yeah. I don't think you can tally that. But okay, conspiracy theory. Everybody dust out your aluminum tinfoil hats on. It has been a while, so get the tinfoil hats on and put them on with me for the next 3 minutes. Kevin, doesn't it feel sometimes that because you're a small market team, it's kind of like once you win something, they're like, that's enough. We gave you something. Yeah. We gave you a breadcrumb. Yandy Diaz won the Silver Slugger. That's enough. You get one. That's it. I know you want the Isaac, but he might have deserved it, but no, we gotta share the wealth of awards. Do you feel like that, or is this
sometimes maybe? But what about the Orioles? I mean, they're not a big market team by any means, and they had Adley Rutschman winning at catcher. Now Gunnar Henderson at the utility position.
But that's what I mean. Share the wealth. Like, hey, the Orioles with a 100-win team, we can't leave them out of a Silver Slugger. So let's take one from Tampa and like give it to the Orioles, something like that. I don't know. I feel like that with awards, sometimes it's more like representative of the season. They want to like highlight the teams that did well. So they just pick like a representative to just.
That makes sense. I mean, it certainly feels that way with all-star voting and who's the starters there, where it's like, hey, you get small market team, you get your 1 or your 2 or whatever. But so there it is, the Silver Slugger. Now, I have a question in regards to that, and just giving the guys their kudos. Of course, Yandy at first base won it. Second base was Marcus Semien. Shortstop was Corey Seager. Third base, Rafi Devers. I gave the outfield names: Robert, Rodriguez, Tucker. Catcher, Adley Rutschman, and designated hitter, who else but Shohei Ohtani. But going forward for the Rays, who will be, in your eyes, the next player not named Yandy Diaz to win the Silver Slugger? And we can put in parentheses as well, maybe not named Yandy Diaz, not named Isaac Paredes to win it. So take out those two names, perhaps. Who is it? Who's going to be that next guy? Hopefully not in 2035, but 2024, 2025, something like that. There's candidates out there. There's Brandon Lau. There's Josh Lowe. There's Thou, who shall not be named. We could take him off the list. Renee Pinto, perhaps. Junior Caminero, Curtis Mee, Luke Raley, Jose Siri. Just throwing names out there.
You saw my face change when you said Isaac Paredes not on the list, because that's exactly who I was going for.
Okay.
If he's always eligible for the utility category, he's just going to just rake. I mean, that's ridiculous. If he puts up these types of numbers, which we expect the production to keep getting better, he's only going to get older. He's only going to just get better at the plate. So if this is the beginning of a real Isaac season, my goodness, the utility is his to lose. But let's play.
So let's assume that 2024 Paredes wins it next year. Who's after that?
I did like your Josh Lowe option, but I think honestly in the outfield is just so damn difficult, man.
So congested with. That's where the money is made. That's where you have a lot of really good candidates and a lot of young players who aren't going anywhere.
Right? I mean, Mike Trout didn't win. So if Mike Trout is healthy, like he's always just gonna get one of those things. Aaron Judge wasn't on the podium. Yeah, he also is very good and can get into that podium. So I don't think any outfielder would be on the list. I think if I want to be, friend of the program, Curtis Mead, he's obviously an option at third. Caminero as well. Maybe Caminero can also be a utility guy, put him at second,
that's
third.
possible.
I wouldn't go with Brendan Lau just because I think
health.
2021 is starting to get farther and farther away. And we need to maybe be aware that the 39 home runs happened 3 years ago. It's not last year anymore.
That's fair. Although, again, he had 21 homers in 107 games.
But like you said, the health. I can't put my hand on the fire before the health.
So, okay. So aside from Yandy and Isaac, and I didn't even mention Randy, but again, we kind of illuminated the congestedness. And we've talked about this before. Randy, he is what he is. I don't think he's going to win a Silver Slugger. He'll be a finalist, perhaps, several more times, but as far as winning the thing outright, probably not. It's going to take more than that from the outfield spot beyond 20, 21, 22 home runs. I'm just saying. Yeah. But if you were to put Green Skittles on one name going forward, who would that be? Would it be Caminero? Would it be Josh Lowe? Would it be Brandon Lau? Would it be Curtis Mead?
I think I'd play with. It's got to be Mead and Caminero just because of the age, how young they are, and their position as well. Because again, with the Rays, I don't see Mead or Caminero just being like, in the beginning at least, just one position kind of guys. I see them kind of rotating them third, second, DH. So yeah, I would have to go with those two guys, Mead and Caminero. Okay. Yeah,
that's fair. I'm a little bit leery about Curtis Mead and how much power he can provide. I see him more as a 15 to 18 homer, kind of like Yandy Diaz before this season type of offensive output, or power output. I shouldn't say offensive output. I'm thinking just ballparking it with Curtis Mead. You get a 270 batting average and 16, 17 home runs. You're sitting pretty there. But Caminero he hits the ball about as hard as anybody at his age. There's something to really respect and lick your chops about there. So,
and the bombs that we saw him hit in the minors, I know it's the minors,
right?
They were impressive. They were ridiculous.
Very impressive.
Yeah.
Do you know, before we wrap things up, who has the most Silver Slugger awards in MLB history?
It's either, Barry Bonds.
Barry Bonds would be correct. He has the most of any player at any position. How many, though, is the question. The next
one.
question.
Okay. Sorry.
No, you're right. I wanted the name and then just to follow up to that.
Okay. How many? Okay, well, he played like 18 years, I think. So let's go with 16.
He had 12 of those jokers. He was also a 7-time MVP, 14-time All-Star, and many other awards.
I went with a ridiculous answer, and it still wasn't that far off.
No, it really wasn't. Really amazing what he was able to do in that regard. Yeah. So, all right. So we'll see what happens with the Silver Slugger going forward. And there's still more awards to be given out. So keep that in mind as well. In the meantime, hope you all have a wonderful day. Stay safe, and we will talk to you tomorrow.